First of all, I'd like to thank K2 for inviting me here to perform at the Acoustic Spoken Word Cafe. And my name is Nicholas Michel. My father, who's here today, met my mother where I was born in the Philippines. And I grew up in the Netherlands, Germany, San Antonio, Texas, also Cocoa Village, Florida, and I ended up my dad's hometown, Fort Wayne, Indiana. I wrote my first rhyme or limerick my dad found for me that was back when I was 8 years old. Can't remember the title of it anyway, but I've always been influenced by poetry since a young age. And my vision is inspired and influenced by Hunter S. Thompson, who invented gonzo journalism, which is a little heavy for some taste, but also influenced by artistic movements such as surrealism, Dadaism, and also influenced by beat poetry, beat poets such as Bob Kaufman, Allen Ginsberg, Tom Waits, and also my style is influenced by hip-hop, artists such as KRS-One, Rakim. I was in an experimental hip-hop group known as the Prophets of Rage, which was inspired and influenced by the revolutionary hip-hop group Public Enemy. And the name Prophets of Rage actually comes from a song called Prophets of Rage from the album It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. And 1994, in Germany, we published our first album called Unite or Perish. And in 97, released an album called Zen Gravy. So tonight I'm gonna bring to you a style of poetry that I call Zip Zop, which is a mixture of slam poetry, which I was inspired by Saul Williams, and also a mixture of battle rap and the vision of gonzo journalism, which to me is super turbo warp speed overdrive experimental poetry. So my first piece for you tonight is called Judge Not. And I'll be reading because I don't have anything memorized from all my pieces. So, Judge not. Judge not, for the Lord works in mysterious ways. Love needs some serious praise in these delirious days. I be in the curious phase, open-minded with the skeptical glaze, enlightened with the spiritual plays. Don't be frightened by the lyrical blaze in this miracle maze. There are many yesterdays and many tomorrows, but there is only one now, is the hysterical phrase. Feel the mystical rays. Place your bets. Believe me when I say I'm not an atheist or agnostic. I process quick on an obsessed flip. Religion is on a lost trip and it's costing us chips at the wheel of reality grips. The menu is not the meal. The map is not the territory. The mystery cannot be penetrated. History is what has generated. So prove it and demonstrate it. I levitated while walking on water turned into wine. Everything gonna be fine. God is something you cannot define. Need I remind you of what is true? It happens out of the blue. I spit infinite literature for sure. I got the cure. Don't worry, it's pure. Perfection injection. 86 the next election. Find a new direction. Love is an evolution of solutions for the temporary pollutions of institutions. Confusion is not the conclusion. Aha is the answer to your question. In fact, it's your best bet. Get set. Now let's end this discussion with a whoopee cushion. That's inappropriate, but keep on pushing. Judge not. Thank you. My next piece is called The Great Synchronicity Event. In my vocabulary laboratory conducting wordplay experiments, preparing the entire audience for the ultimate experience, the great synchronicity events will provide the undeniable evidence that we all share this moment we call the present tense. For now is all existence. The epiphany becomes intense as you realize that finally it would all make sense. There is no such thing as no such thing. The last hour will bring the age of eternal spring. Spontaneous evolution will come into full swing. Who would have thought that it would have happened so suddenly? It wasn't me, it was the secret recipe for alchemy, transforming the collective consciousness chemistry. Let me demonstrate the infinite possibility and explain the complexity of the mystery. Human history shall come to manifest the message of mythology and put to rest any uncertainty about our origins and purpose. A new era of peace and blessings will occur instead of wars and curses. My earth people, we are all universes. The great Synchronicity event. This one is a little play on the words. The prefix is pro and con, so I call it the pros and cons. No problem, only contribution. Expression is my profession is the conclusion. No confusion in this process, obsessed with concentration. The proper prodigal contemplation on obstacle complications. The professional in confrontations and keen observations. Prolific with the constant elevation. Productive, constructive, the prophet of creation. Controller of cremation, professor of conversation. Contrary to popular belief, we are only here for a brief history of time. The mystery of the mind makes us both dig and climb, but we're just clones of consciousness in the champion contest. I spit it out like confessions in the subliminal conquest. Philadelphia experiments and Montauk projects, the products of concepts, programs, conflicts, and contracts. These are the facts. Nothing protects the contents, but I rock on like continents with progressive confidence. I got it covered like condominiums in the last days of the apocalypse. Blackout, total eclipse, critical condition of the last decision. Presto, pronto, with precision. The pros and cons of the transition. There are many benefits and side effects to division. Life is more than just a contact sport. It's a spontaneous strategy of sorts. Yes, life is too short. Everybody coming and going, just like an airport. The pros and cons. And my next piece is called Freedom. Yeah, I'm gonna get a drink of water here. Okay, freedom. Me be as I is be me. Unity within the family equals telepathy. The main use of technology is to bring together all the peoples, like the Doors and the Beatles. Break on through to the other side. You got to enjoy the ride, because all you need is love. When you got that, then we all get to grub. Imagine no religion, no country, no possessions. Imagine life with the basics and the essence. School systems don't even teach you life's lessons. How to grow your own food, how to make your own products. Instead we worship money, idols, and objects. Sex, drugs, and music, these things even the government refuse it. Overconsumption got us running on empty. The fools that we be, it can't last for eternity. We will all begin to see that we all need to be free. We need a resource-shared economy. Don't want no low-wage slavery. Work your way to the top, So then you can sell your soul on the spot? Forget this world and the society we live in. And I ain't gonna stop until everybody gives in. Freedom. And this one is influenced by beat poetry, beat jazz poetry. I was trying to remember that jazz musician that just passed recently. I still can't remember his name, but
Was it Stanley Turrentine?
was who?
Was it Stanley Turrentine?
Yes. Was it him? Stanley?
Stanley Turrentine?
Okay, he was a tenor sax?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, then that's... Okay, this one's called Jazz Gun. Mad man-made moods. Meticulous mingus fingers in the fungus with the fables of fathers among us. Moaning to the moon in the meantime. Swimbling down the fish street in a fresh pair of swishes. Pushing the limit past mass hallucinations in my last conversations with the wishies. Daydreaming about genies and leprechauns in the marathon of rat racers. Cat chasers in the dog day afternoon, playing with the tune in a tiny room, reminiscing about demolitions and premonitions. Strumbling down the tumbleweeds in rumbling fashion, dancing in step to the percussion while having a discussion with the concussion. Confusion had reached its conclusion in the improvisation visitation. Sloppy jazz has that filthy pizzazz. With monk hat and mild shades, I smiled and played the funk back to the stinky sweat and armpit trumpets were blasting away along with eyebrow pianos. The mustache violins elbowed their way through the long-haired concert dressed in fancy flesh. The girl with the guitar was far beyond reach in the peach sunset. Hairy harmonicas and weeping whistles got past security and sabotaged the stage with perfect synchronicity. The instruments never sleep. Clever creeps smiled sinister in the sanctuary. Thank you very much for keeping in touch. Ask me another time, maybe, baby. Now, get some rest. The best is yet to be. Our work is never finished. The curtains closed as the lights diminished. Jazz gun. This one, this piece is called Late Night Notes. The insatiable appetite for neon lights on the street of delight and delirious lyrics engulfed the night with hunger at skyscraper heights. The city is starving. People sleepwalk on the sidewalks chalked with coked outlines in the fast lanes. Gas brains light up the last flames in the games of names drawn from the box of flashbacks, the executioner's axe. Guillotine girls flash their razor-sharp smiles with quick wits and true grit too grimy for prime time. It's rhyme time. Random riff rants by destiny of chance as we dance with the dandelions and rise with the roses and yoga poses, chanting Chattanooga choo-choo with the voodoo priests from the far east. South Pacific, to be specific. Filipino headhunters collecting trophy skulls in the jungle of juxtapositions. Just you listen and see the 7 C's at turbo warp speed. I feel the need to read. Spin the wheel to breathe in the brotherhood mothership kingdom. Boredom and desperation sink in their painful inspiration. The blues let loose. You're on fire! So, be water, my friend. It is like a finger pointing to the moon. Madness consumes. It's too quiet. The wind is the first thing that brings you back to reality in one stroke of a joke. You poke your head out to see what's the commotion. You're in the ocean with the other tortoises and purple porpoises who have no purpose but to swim in the grim depths. Slept too long but woke up too fast. Break fast and head. Naked lunch. Dinner with clothes on. In the mood for nude food. Ghosts with no names. Unmarked graves. Vibrations and waves. Particles. Sloppy tentacles. And so I got that going for me. Yeah, so far so God. speaketh the devil. Cat got your tongue, frog in your throat? Did I get your goat? Like a bat out of hell. You smell that? It's natural as opposed to normal. We're all looking for that portal, that light at the end of the tunnel, that friendly destination, that place we call home. Late night notes. This one is not exactly poetry. I don't really know what it is, but it's called An Unusual Visit. Regardless of the previous rejections, the writer returned to his pen in reluctant fever. Paradoxical scenarios raced through his mind faster than he could put them down on paper. How could he prove that nobody was listening to his thoughts? Paranoid at the thought that secret agents at play had implanted a surveillance device in his brain behind his eyes, the writer duct taped his eyes shut in hopes that those watching would think that the device was broken. The writer waited in vain for someone to break through the front door to take him away from his work. On his desk were stacks of books ready to be read. The Act of Creation and The Ghost in the Machine by Arthur Koestler. The History of Western Philosophy by Bertrand Russell. The book on the taboo against knowing who you are by Alan Watts. And a recently purchased copy of the oversized red book by Carl Jung, which had just been stepped on by his purple cats. Presto and pronto. A Mario Bava film marathon was on television that day, and Danger Diabolique was playing at the moment. There was a knock at the door. The writer's heart jumped into his throat as he took a pregnant pause before asking, "Who is it?" "You know who it is," answered a dark voice. "What do you want?" whispered the writer. "All of your writings, of course," said the stranger behind the door. "What impossible nonsense is this?" exclaimed the now shivering writer. "Open the door," the enigmatic voice replied. Sweat was now dripping into the writer's duct-taped eyes as he slowly rose up and fumbled around to unlock the door. As soon as he opened the door, the unknown person ripped the duct tape from the writer's eyes, and he found himself staring directly into the eyes of his own self. The writer dropped the pen he was holding in his hand and gasped for breath. "Your writings," said the man who looked exactly like the writer. "Give them to me now." The writer hurried over to his desk and grabbed a huge pile of papers. The writer quickly handed everything he wrote to himself. The visitor took the writer's life work into his hands and turned around to exit through the doorway, slowly walked out, and shut the door behind him. The writer's visitor never returned. An unusual visit.